Tips from Trestle is brought to you by eMenu Choice Point of Sale, Wizox AI, and Benny Keith Foods. Welcome to Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality Podcast. This podcast explores the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and the community experience. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. My goal for this podcast: educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living. How? By bringing the resident and customer experience to the front of mind in our industry. We should bring the passionate spirit of food and hospitality to everything that we do and everyone we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. On today's episode of Tips from Trestle, I'm speaking with John Tolbert. John is the Associate Vice President of Culinary for Sagora Senior Living. He has 28 years of experience as a culinarian, with the first 10 in the hotel industry and the last 18 years focused on senior living. His passion is creating joy for the residents he serves through the food that he and his team create every day. John, thanks for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. We're here at the Benny Keith Studios. Shout out to them for letting us use their space today. And we wanted to dive into the topic of trends for 2026. It's that time of year where everybody's looking ahead, planning for the future. And I want to just pick your brain, working with an operator the size of Sagora. I know you guys have...
We're 95 communities in 11 states now.
Yeah. So you guys are a big player in senior living. And so with that, you have a pretty good perspective on what you're seeing out there. And I think we can give the listeners a good peek into what's coming into the 2026. Obviously, I think the first thing that's on everybody's mind is the impact that inflation and the cost pressures are having. We've been dealing with those for months now. And so when you think about those, I'm curious as to how you see menu planning, purchasing, and your waste reduction strategies being impacted going into next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, the costs are just the sky high, right? Yeah. All the way across the board. One of the things that we've really been leveraging is our GPO, really focusing on just some of those items. And before it was just like, why are all the communities buying different bacon, right? Yeah. So we have all these different SKUs out there and just looking into, hey, let's just all buy these 2 or 3 bacon. Let's drive that cost. That way we can go back to our GPO and say, hey, we're not going to pay that price for that. Yeah. We're going to pay that cheaper price for that bacon, but still have that quality for our residents, which they all deserve. And looking at that menu, so we are based out of, again, 11 different states. So I really try to drive to have those regional kind of menus. I don't really care for those corporate menus. That's not one of the things that we really wanted to do. Yeah. But we also have to control that cost.
Like, where do you find the balance? Exactly.
So, again, it's having that order guide. So it's not a loft order guide, but it is managed. Right. And I do look very closely at that order guide and really building that menu to where if we're going to have some type of a chicken dish, we're going to have some type of a chicken noodle, chicken something soup later on down the road. So there's really low to very little waste. It's those appetizers, right? It's those happy hours that we're able to use that leftover items to create something new and better for our residents.
Yeah, I think looking into 26, I think a lot of operators, I know you guys are really big, but I think even smaller operators are going to really lean into how do we use our GPOs, or who should be our GPO? How do we start maximizing contracts? I think a lot of times the smaller operators don't always think about the opportunities with contracts like you described, because they think I've only got 3, 5, 8 locations. Can I really do anything with that? But I think, like you said, leaning into a GPO partnership can really help with that.
Absolutely.
For sure. One of the things that I know the last couple of years, we've talked about the older boomers, and those boomers are now in their mid 70s, starting to get into their late 70s. So we're definitely seeing them in independent living. We're for sure starting to see them in assisted living as well. getting that additional support they need. So when we think about the demands that they put on us, especially from a dining and culinary perspective, around the dining experience specifically, what are specific ways that you've seen in your operations where you're able to meet that and make that a really strong differentiator for resident satisfaction going into the next year?
Yeah, so I think we've all heard it, right? We got that silver tsunami
Right.
on its way.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's really just it's that home cooked meal at the restaurant look, that restaurant quality, right?
Yeah.
But we can't lose that home cooked meal. It's still that meatloaf, right? But you can still make that meatloaf look $1 million, right? By putting that starch in the middle of the plate, by putting that protein on top of that, and then fresh vegetables, right? It's all
Yeah.
about the fresh vegetables. Almost every single commercial, right? We're hearing about all this late weight loss and all these things
Yeah.
and all that. So it's really getting back to how do we do both, right?
Yeah.
How do we give them the items that they want, right? It's building that menu for you to be good if you want to be good, right?
Yeah.
So it's having the healthier options on there, but it's also if you want to be bad, I got you too. I will put
Yeah.
butter on both sides of that hamburger bun and the bacon and the cheese and all the things, right?
Yeah.
So meeting everybody at that place to be able to give them those options so that everybody's happy. We really are really seeing that little bit more of that healthier side. So they want to see those vegetables. They want to see green vegetables. They want to see, I know it's fried catfish on the menu,
Yeah.
but can I have it baked too? Absolutely, you can have it baked. There's no reason that we need to bread up all the cat. So
Yeah.
it's really about the choices and
Yeah.
able to meet them.
That's a good point you make there about the catfish, right? Being able to have some flexibility in a lot of times people think, oh, I need to just get some pre-breaded catfish to do this. It's going to make things quicker and faster. But to have that flexibility of offering both the comfort food, but then the healthy alternative, which is a trend that I definitely want to talk to you about, definitely, I think, is a key component to that. When you look at assisted living, I know that I have a couple of clients I work with that are looking at doing more independent living style services in assisted living, having a full service bar, having a bistro cafe, not a traditional bistro where you get like water and coffee and danishes, but like an actual like cafe where they can come and have a different menu. Do you see something like that in some of your operations? Do you feel like some of the competitors you go up against are doing things like that that you have to look at offering similar services for assisted living and not just independent living?
Oh, I totally agree. I think we're really starting to get away from that dinners at this time, lunch is at this time, breakfast is that time. They want to dine when they want to dine, right? Yeah. To have that little in between, you're going to have those bistros, right? Those go and grab type of items, right? Yeah. So it doesn't have to be a full, right? But a little combi oven or something along those lines where we can, or pizza oven or something that we could throw in a quick little pizza. That's where it's at, right? Because that only helps the revenue part, but that also helps that, hey, if somebody has to have a doctor's visit and they miss lunch, they can still go to the bistro and get a nice little sandwich or a little pizza or some wings or something along those lines. So yeah, we're really starting to see that big push of we just don't want to eat at this time, John. I want to come in at 2:00. Most dining rooms are closed at 2. Yeah. You know what? Maybe the main dining room is closed, but we still have plenty of snacks and plenty of different options over at our bistros.
Yeah. And I think about the in between downtime of staffing, right? If you choose to run an assisted living with service so that servers, you have that higher service level, what are you going to do with them in those in between hours if there's nothing going on? And having those options and those outlets and those menus available definitely can make the labor more impactful and then still offer all of those options. And I wanted to go back to the comment you made about comfort food, but still being healthy, right? Because as I was looking into what are some of the trends we're seeing from a culinary perspective that is going to impact our industry, and you hit the nail on the head with that first one, thinking about trying to do this blend of nostalgic comfort dishes at a party that make me think of home, then also really focusing in on the health and nutrition and those aspects of it. When you're looking at menu development, how do you approach that as a classically trained chef? And what kind of approaches do you see going into next year that'll help operators be successful there?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the main things that we do is before any resident moves in, we ask, what is your favorite dish? What is that one dish that just things to you, right? If you're in at home and maybe if you're sick or something, what does that sting to you? So we have those sheets. We have those sheets on every single one of our residents, and we tally those up and we look at those. But and we try to sprinkle those in on our menus, right? If you think about it, our residents are eating at the same restaurant every single day for years and years, right? You got to keep it spicy, right? So it's really going to that global, right? There's a lot of different options out there, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of healthier options out there. The Mediterranean, right? The DASH diet. It's a wonderful diet, right? That's really healthy for you. But man, those spices that you use, this really kicks it up. But having the education behind it is key. Just putting something in front of a resident that is healthy, they're going to be like, I just want the burger.
Right,
Just
exactly.
bring me the burger. But if you have the experts come out, if you have the dietitians come out, if you have the doctors come out and explain, hey, blueberries are great brain fruit. That's great for you. Oh, okay. Now, maybe that's why John is pushing more of that blueberry water
Exactly.
and stuff like that. So it's the why behind it, right? I think that is what we have to tackle with not only our team, but with our residents is explaining the why, not just doing it.
Do you find this is something that I've tried to build into some of my menus as I'm working with clients is this concept I call stealth health, where maybe I'm making a meatloaf with ground turkey or ground chicken. It's the same recipe, the same flavors, but it's a little bit healthier. Or I'm sneaking maybe some spinach into my marinara to elevate some of those antioxidants. Do you see those kinds of things, not only from a culinary and dietary perspective, being something that people start doing, but maybe even from a cost perspective when we think about like the cost of beef the way it is these days?
Technology continues to drive changes in senior care, and that includes food service. eMenu Choice is an award-winning point-of-service application for managing the dining function in senior living communities. This mobile, touchscreen-enabled software enhances the dining experience for residents while streamlining processes for staff. The flexibility and functionality of eMenu Choice makes it an effective solution for any type of senior living environment, from independent and assisted living to skilled nursing facilities. It works for production kitchens or restaurant-style service with options for per meal or a la carte pricing and accommodates a variety of payments, including bill to account, meal credits, and credit cards. Created by a senior care provider with more than a century of experience serving older adults, eMenu Choice eliminates communication barriers between staff and residents while enabling person-centered choices and greater resident satisfaction. eMenu Choice, transforming dining for senior living.
Absolutely. Yes. That is one of the things that we do see, and we are going to start doing a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Is adding those little extra things. And honestly, like I said, going back to that why behind it, residents want to eat good. They want to feel good. If it's not really pushing a certain diet on them, right? Especially in independent living or whatever, whatnot, but just to let them know that if you are on this certain diet, maybe you will feel a little bit better. Maybe your knees won't hurt.
Right.
Maybe that calorie count will go down a little.
I'm curious, when you think about as a chef being asked to make a meatloaf traditionally, but with a different protein, do you think that's going to be an obstacle for some of our frontline culinarians, or do you think it's going to be something that they'll embrace more?
I still embrace it. You know, as a chef, we like to have the fun, right? We like to try the new.
Yeah.
The basic every single day. That's when we get bored. Trying to find out a way to make our joy, to bring that joy back into our food for everybody. It's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be really fun for all of our chefs out there.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm always curious what the chef's perspective is when we talk about, we're going to take a great recipe that you love and we're going to tweak it just a bit.
That's when we make it our own.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. But it started somewhere.
Right,
It started
exactly.
somewhere. If somebody added a little dash of this, a little dash of that in. And
Yeah.
it became
In that similar vein, you mentioned having the food preference forms and understanding what your residents want and collating and using that information. How can you use that information to tackle this next trend when it comes to food is that personalized dining experience, right? Whether it's through nutrition or whether it's through that heart healthy or whether it's through that home made or that home style meal that they're looking for. How do you think about that, especially not overwhelming your team out in the field?
Absolutely. So it's a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
Really using the POS systems, right? It's all about the technology that we have out there. We got to embrace it. I think some of our older chefs out there are still pencil paper, right?
Yeah.
But it's really embracing that new technology out there and really looking at all the systems that we have in place. So if we have comment cards are great. That's one of the things I always go back to. Comment cards are great, but comment cards probably get read once a week, right? POS system, it's right then and there. They can really leave that comment, good or bad, right then and there. And the chef can have that information and be like, okay, I need to go talk to Mrs. Jones, right? Yeah. She didn't enjoy the meal today. Or, hey, everybody enjoyed the meal today. We need to probably repeat that a little bit more sooner than maybe our 5 or 6 week rotation, but this really leveraging all the new stuff that's coming out, right? And I think POS systems are the key.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I'm working with multiple clients on which systems and what makes sense, and leans into another trend is using these technologies, point of sale and other, that are now more resident facing, because we are starting to have residents in our communities that aren't afraid of tech, that are used to tech. They've adjusted to and have an expectation. They lived through COVID and lockdowns and DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of that. So it is not an uncommon thing for them to see the technology in our world of dining and food service. And so when you think about what technology can do, how can it truly deliver value for those residents without overwhelming them?
Absolutely. I think one of the things too is room service, right? I think the old school way of thinking is got to call the concierge desk. They have to have a menu. That piece of paper goes back to the kitchen. Hopefully it makes it back to the kitchen. We make the plate, it goes to their rooms. Now with technology, right? Maybe it's on channel 2 on the room that's broadcasted through all the residents' rooms to where they can just pick up the phone, just like at a nicer hotel, and either order room service or right there, right on the POS on their phone, because it's an app. They can go through and they can order whatever they want. It also gives us the opportunity to put those pictures of our dishes on there. And I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Chef John, why are they using all these fancy words on the menu? But for them to actually look at it, and we look, hey, that's how we eat, right? We look at it first. And to be able to broadcast that either on that tablet, on their phone, on a TV, this is the dish that we have today. They're already ready, right? They're coming out of their room. They're ready. They know what they want to eat. Plus, it takes less time at the dining room. We're talking about being efficient, right? So if you have a resident that's sitting there staring at the menu for 5 or 10 minutes, that's taking that server's time. But once they walk into that dining room, they already know, hey, I want this and this. Yeah. And the server's pushing it into that tablet. It's printing back into that kitchen. It's effective. And it's really keeping that server with the resident. So now you're introducing a food runner, and that server's there just to take care of our residents, and they're not running back and forth. They're maybe getting called in a different section and stuff like that, right? They're just right there taking care of our residents, refilling water and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know how many times over last season of doing episodes, I said the phrase high tech, high touch, which you just described with using point of sale. If I were a CEO listening to this, then the first thing I would think talking about technology is, okay, now you want to add another expense to the operating budget to do this when maybe we can find a more efficient way with pen and paper or something like that. The best way to offset that argument is generating revenue.
Absolutely.
So when you think about these technologies, what are the opportunities that you were seeing that you were looking maybe to try and capitalize on from a revenue perspective with a point of sale technology or like a DoorDash style ordering service or things like that?
For over a century, Benny Keith has been a trusted leader in the food service industry. As a broadline distributor, we offer an extensive selection of products, delivering to 21 states through 10 distribution centers. We can help you create a thriving culinary culture by pairing quality products with customized solutions that elevate your residents' dining experience. Our team of registered dietitians provide unmatched customer service by modifying menus, selecting recipes, ensuring regulatory compliance, and more. Quality, value, and service are at the heart of everything we do. Benny Keith Foods puts the care back in healthcare.
You're definitely going to capture all those team member meals, and you're going to capture all those guest meals. So again, with the pencil and paper, things will get lost.
Yeah.
But if you have it in a POS system, it's seamless. It's going straight to your business office director. They're able to use credit cards. That's huge.
Yeah.
One of the things that I hear a lot is, I want to eat with mom, but I don't want it on her bill.
Yeah.
So with the POS system, they're able to use their own credit card through Square and charge it straight to them and stuff like that. Being able to, our families can't get to our communities, is paying for that birthday meal. We have a couple of grill rooms in our community to sit there and say, hey, I'm paying for this. Make sure mom and dad gets dressed up or whatever, whatnot, but we're paying for it. I do not want to see it on the bill. So that's how you're going to pay for that POS for sure. And with the new group that we're having coming into with our team members, right? They love the technology, right? Yeah. They like to press the buttons. They like the screens. They like all the things.
Definitely makes it easy.
Yes. And to be able to use that. And again, that pencil paper is going away.
Yeah.
Right. And we got to utilize that AI and all the good things. And to be able to show a resident, what is that chicken carbonara or whatever, and be able to show them on the tablet. Here you go. This is what it looks like today. Right?
Yeah. One of the things I always think about if you have a point of sale is, how can you incrementally gain revenue, right? And one of the things I was thinking about is guest meals. So many operators I talk to or work with are like, yeah, we have a flat fee of $7, $8, $10. And first of all, I'm like, if you're charging $7 for a guest meal in 2026,
right,
that's a problem. Yeah. But second, like if you're concerned that $7 is the number that people want to get to, maybe you're going to charge $2 for a cup of soup, and maybe you're going to charge $4 for a sandwich, and create that like traditional restaurant approach to food service for maybe not your residents, but at least your guests. But you can even have those upcharge items where we can offer steak and lobster every day. You just might have to pay a small little fee for it every now and again. There's so much that can be done there, and we could spend another hour talking about AI with menu development and recipes and like just staffing efficiencies and all of that. That's definitely an area that I know that I'm going to be working with my clients on, is how do we use AI to do that? So I'm glad you mentioned it. One of the things that is, we hit on it a little bit, but we haven't really dove into it, is the wellness aspect, right? This is a much more wellness minded group of residents that we're starting to see and starting to work with. And obviously it's something like 10,000 a day are retiring. So we're going to have, that's what, 400,000 more this coming year that are potentially looking to move into senior living, and they're going to have that expectation. So how do you see a dining program, or your dining program maybe, supporting those wellness goals for residents with healthier offerings and the strong flavor expectations? And how do you look to implement that maybe over the next few months as you start the new year?
Absolutely. Really having that always available menu, right? And having those healthier choices on there. So again, like we were saying before, our menus are going to be designed for you to be good or for you to be bad, but really utilizing that always available menu, that stuff that's going to be cooked from scratch, it's going to take a little bit longer. And that's what I talk to the residents about, that, hey, this is, you order it, we're going to cook it, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be fresh. And just really slowing them down a little bit to allow us to, again, make that catfish that's not breaded, to blacken it, to saute it, to poach it, whatever they would like. Really looking at those gluten-free options. I think most of the chefs probably do gluten-free. They don't even know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dishes that could be made gluten-free or at least gluten-friendly. I won't say, I guess, gluten-free, but gluten-friendly.
Yeah.
The sugar-free options, right? Yeah. The low sodium. They got salt and pepper on their tables, right? There's no reason for us to load it up with salt and pepper or salt in the kitchen, right? They can always add that. And giving them those options, garlic goes a long way, right? But to tell them that, hey, here's some little special seasoning that we made in-house for you that you can add to, here's one for the vegetables, here's one for fish, here's one for your beef, right? That type of thing without adding that salt content to it. I think there's going to be a really big push for a little bit more of that healthier, but I think there's always going to be that, hey, where's that chocolate cake with that double scoop of ice cream?
Right.
So,
yeah, I think when we hear wellness, the first instinct is to let's take all the fat and the sugar and the sodium, and that's healthy, right? But sometimes it's just as much the soul satisfying food that is wellness. And so that balance makes so much sense. And I love the idea of the custom seasonings for the different things that are in-house that you make every day. There's an opportunity there, not just for residents to have a better wellness and dining experience, but even from a marketing perspective and helping sell the community of, hey, we know that's an issue. We know that's something that you're looking for from a wellness perspective, and we do that. So I love that idea. We've talked about a lot of things as we've gone through this episode. And so as we close out here, I want to talk like executive to executive about the struggle that we always deal with from a dining perspective, which is getting organizational buy-in to do these things. So when you think about these are going to be critical things that are going to impact prospects going in 2026, how do you look at creating buy-in and creating and setting dining up to be more of a strategic focus and pillar and not just that cost center that maybe an executive is looking at?
Absolutely. The first thing, you got to work with your sales and marketing team, right? They're the backbone. Yeah. You got to have the people in the communities to pay for all these things. So it's that education part, right? It's having that mindset of knowing that our residents move in they want to feel safe, they want to be entertained, and they want good food.
Yeah.
You got to hit those three, right? And as long as you're hitting those three, the revenue will take care of itself, right? So when you're talking to those leaders, those owners, and telling them, hey, I want to spend this extra money in the POS system, I want to do these things, it's to show them that, hey, it's going to be better, right? It's going to be more efficient. I can do this maybe with one less server now because I do have a POS. I'm able to have more of these cooking demos and stuff like that because we do have this combi oven. We're going to take out a little bit of the dining room and make a grill room. But hey, in that grill room, we're also going to be charging $45, $55, $65 a plate. And we're going to fill that up. I only want six tables in there. I want to make it like the club scene.
Yeah,
I want people to want to come into there. So really just going out there and just reaching for it and really being able to show that we're going to be able to make revenue for this. We're going to make the residents happy. And that new generation that's coming in, they want the TVs, right?
Yeah.
They want to see the football games, but they want to be a little bit more casual, I think.
Yeah.
Then again, we want to have those grill rooms. We want to have those private dining rooms for when they do want to dress up and stuff like that. We have that option, but we also have that sport atmosphere too that we're going to be able to utilize in our dining rooms.
Yeah.
Those different concepts.
Yeah. I think that approach of, hey, we are going to have some efficiency on the back end. And also we're looking at the revenue side. And then there's that third kind of leg of the stool of, yes, we're saving a little bit of money. Yes, we'll generate a little bit of money. But at the core, it's really about keeping residents in the building, in the community, happy, healthy, loving life, and helping you sell it. I think the way you've positioned that and talk about that very much aligns with like how I would approach it. So I appreciate that approach. John, thanks for doing this. If any of the listeners want to reach out and learn about what you're doing or ask you questions about anything we've covered, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can reach out at me on my cell phone, my work number, 817-266-1886. or through my work email, which is jtolbert@sagora.com.
Perfect. John, I appreciate you doing this, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And best of luck into the new year. And thanks for joining me on Tips from Trestle.
Well, thank you for having me.
So there it is, everybody. Another one in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Please follow and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at Tips from Trestle. You can also learn more about the work I do by following me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And be sure to check out Trestle Hospitality Concepts at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.